and whatever I see is smiling at me. Love is who I am.
Hello there, beloved Ascension pioneers, all you divine lovers out there, and welcome to this Ascension update, which will be for the month of August. But as always, it's about the timeless nature of when you view this video, when it fits you, and when it resonates for you. So if you've been following the lines of my last videos, you've seen that I've talked about this graduation point. And this is not something linear, you know, because a lot of times when we hear a word graduation, we tend to think of it as in terms of, okay, we've arrived, now we don't have anything left to do, so this is it, I don't have to do anything, I'm just gonna be, which is of course the absolute truth of our being, but we're also expanding as all life in creation is. So in this video, I will give you some of the references as to what happens after this graduation point. So what's out there waiting for us as those masters of the new who've always been in training and preparation for what's actually happening with our physical ascension, those of you who are on this path. And I've shared this with you before that I've been recently shown that not everybody's on this path. Even the people who are in the healing circles and communities or the new age or religious communities, not necessarily that's going to set them off to a path of physical ascension. So recently this graduation point for a lot of you was a graduation from the self-healing, the self-holding path and moving into the path of physical ascension. And I've recently shared the Ascension update on that note, which is available on my page, Ascension Pioneers. These updates are energetic alignments and especially tuned in to those of you, for those of you who really feel called to the path of self-mastery at this time, which is not just a mastery in your mind, it's not just a mastery in your emotion, it's not just mastering, you know, Ascension is an overall unity light perspective where you're a master of the self, all levels, because we don't just have one body, we don't just have physical or emotional or mental body. So we're moving into the white pillar, the creation light that truly is setting us off for this path of ascension, which is what this physical ascension truly is. So those of you understanding this from the perspective of creation principles, you're already aware of this somehow. And I've made this note, and I do create these updates to make you more aware as in you deepening the resonance with what ascension truly is. Because if you find yourself not connecting to guru communities or new age communities, religious communities anymore, or you never did, you know, some of you never did, but you're moving into this space which is called the new sovereign, and I've talked about this before, and I'm going to kind of present to you here the ideas of what the sovereign being is now actually going to be confronted with, what we're going to be facing with, what are the most challenging aspects we're going to be kind of encountering on our path. So this graduation from the self-healing path is what was unfolding for us, as well as the entering the physical ascension path, which in most is no longer connecting to, you know, connecting all those different multidimensional parts of you, but you finally feel you're whole again. How do you know? Well, there's no specific explanation when the shift happens. It's a gradual process, and yet there's you know, it's almost like in schooling system. You go through different grades, and you know, okay, just one more left, and then you graduate. But when you graduate, you know, high school comes, and then from high school you can go to college, and then you can expand your knowledge. It's kind of like that. So it does feel like this sense of, you know, you were studying, you were assimilating, you were preparing, but then all of a sudden, all of it shifts. And it completes the circle. This is a cycle of your certain spirit path alignment, which is just a feeling that this is so, because it feels like on all levels, and then your physical life reality shows you that this is so. So you master the profound art of healing, and now you're moving into a journey of mastery. So from here on, as I've shared before, everything becomes about the cultivation of life force. A lot is going on, and it is about the physical body, because in the certain New Age societies, a lot of the focus is on the astral planes. It's not really moving into the mastery of who we are as sovereign beings in the body. There's many masters from the whole array of cosmos wanting to get this, done right. I want to nail this mastery school on here on Earth. that means that gives them the privilege to be able to do that in the physical body. And why now more masters, master souls, and being one of them, are incarnating here is, of course, to serve others, but also this is for us too, because we get more knowledge, because there's always worlds in creation to assist. And with more knowledge, we have a wider array of experiential wisdom because we've walked through it in a cosmic sense. This means that we know how many different ascensions are aligning with each other, you know, so that we know how each one, the different aspect of ascending, kind of, how do we do it? It's kind of that kind of thing. And the challenges we're going to be meeting and confronting on this path. So for a lot of you, it might feel like that. So why are you continuously being challenged, but it's in a different way? It's because of that, because it's your own training too. So I have a course on multidimensional ascension where I explain this parallel nature of different parallel ascensions and why masters in training have always been in preparation on this journey. So if you're interested, that's available. But this is about, now it's really about becoming that embodied, integral, sovereign, and illumined master in creation. So with that, also a new creation cycle begins for you internally and externally, because our inner worlds now, being so self-fulfilled and realized, are wanting to merge with the greater worlds and greater realities. So a lot in our journey now will be about how to maintain that sovereign attainment, and that means that within ourselves, it will feel like there's only one of us. And recently, Spirit said, there's only one of you here. And that doesn't just mean, okay, we're all one being, you know, as in when you look at the nature of the whole collective of human beings, but also within ourselves, because we've merged, and a lot of you merged on the oversoul level. Not everyone, there's very few people, but actually, when you do, it feels like you're so vast. You have such immense capabilities, and you can channel so much light, but yet you feel like one being. It doesn't feel scattered anymore. And just recently I shared a post, I think it was on Instagram and Facebook, about the so-called attention deficit hyperactivity syndrome. And oftentimes they call it a disorder, and it's not really a disorder. What this attention deficit syndrome is all about is showing us that there's beings now who are hyperactive, they're hyper intense in energy. They are channeling forth through higher dimensional light. They're not always capable, as they're still maturing on their process and their path, to develop to the point that they can channel so much light with such focus that it's not so scattered, because so much is coming through them. These are advanced souls, crystal children. I was one of the crystal children when I began my journey, now moving towards other light upgrades as well. But it's how I started my journey here, and it wasn't always easy for me, and that was my main challenge, was how to have so much ideas and creativity and so much coming through, and how do I focus it down? And I had to narrow it down, because the body still has its own ways, the body still gets tired. So I shared a post about this. It's not a disorder, we just need to mature into our soul to kind of find that balance or harmony, so that we're living with those symptoms in terms of what they're showing us about these new energies, these new soul types incarnating on the planet, because they're also showing the way of that new higher light frequency, and how the systems of the old matrix are no longer working because they keep us captivated in that non-creative mind ability. So there's such an immense light of creativity. While the other extreme, when you're not yet balanced within that, will be depression, because you're not working creatively in the school systems. There's not enough creativity and engaging with the individuals, so they have their own personal way of what they are bringing through in creative sense, not just also generalized for the group, because the whole point of soul maturation, the first part needs to be developed about not group. We're not yet ready for the group, right? All of a sudden they kind of want to burst us into these groups already as young children. But we need to find our individuality first, so that we can meet up with greater group consciousness levels. So that does kind of belong here as a requirement on our physical journey. So our path now, because of all of this, will be how to channel forth so much energy, how to use it with focus, and then how to maintain that attained sovereign integration, attainment. So how to maintain it, not just have moments when you feel like this. One moment you feel like a sovereign, one moment you're following your integrity. And you know, integrity is something that is developed within yourself as a character that grows over the years. But this is not just your physical egoic character, this is your soul character, your soul's nature. you need time to process it in the human body so that you really know who you are, because a lot of times we don't. So we act from parts of us that are not authentic, and that is why the withdrawal of our life force was coming up to the forefront for a lot of us, because we needed to withdraw from all that we're not so that we can find who we are, we can remember, and then start to live it outside, meeting the external reality with our renewed, awakened self. What I was also shown is that for those of us walking this as the frontiers, as the first wave of these masters in the new, there's a lot of masters being incarnated now in their very young bodies, but they're still young. So the predecessing light always comes as a preliminary force that kind of, starts that as the first initiation. So the burst of the first mastery waves is that graduation point now. We're feeling like one of them in one unified body, so much of activity, so much life force, you feel so alive, but yet you feel there's only one of you, and that creates that integrity alignment, that discernment with knowing what's yours and what's not, and what is truly your path and what isn't. So it was shown that for those of us who are here as the first wave, the portal of 8 of 8, which is always the Lion's Gate in August, will be very important for us. And I was given these words by Spirit. The portal of 8 of 8 is the new mastery gate. Don't despair, just prepare. What comes now has not yet been, even through all the masters that were yet seen. The new makes its way head on, creating a new creation cycle song. So you see, Spirit, for me, it always speaks in rhymes, but this shows us that this will seal the deal for us. This will really make things plausible for us in our physical system and form as well. I've shared this before, why it's so important to work with the earth frequency as well, because earth is ascending. I'm going to talk about this towards the end as well. But it's one unified ascension. But doesn't mean now everyone is ascending. When we say unified ascension, it means all aspects, your physical incarnated with the earth, getting the body from the earth elements as well. That means completely unified ascension. It doesn't mean now everyone has to ascend. And when you're a newly awakened soul, you want to try to wake everyone up. First of all, I've shared this with you numerous amounts of times that the awakening path does not necessarily initiate the full physical ascension journey path. It might, but not necessarily. A lot of people on the planet will be awakening to who they are, but they're not going to yet be capable of developing all of their soul aspects into one unified column of light, because let's face it, it's an immense amount of work. And it takes a very evolved soul to be ready for that. So people will be graduating on different levels, but each one will feel a graduation at a certain point. So that's the whole point here. So I'm going to talk about in this video mainly about, we're going to go through the pitfalls of the things that can still kind of tempt you when you're not yet fully your sovereign, because there's many layers and levels of sovereignty. To be a full sovereign, I'm going to talk about what this means as I'm going to go into the video, but it means that you really become self-sustenant from within. And these pitfalls and traps of being a sovereign can also come because that's kind of like what awaits us now. So what's now? What's next? Okay, we graduate, but what next? We don't get lazy now. We don't stop doing our thing. We're actually going to expand the way we do things and the way we engage with life. But we're going to be creating through becoming that master sovereign, and it's just going to feel different. It's going to feel new. Yes, these are some of the things, and now let's start with the content of what I really want to share about. Okay, so here we go. The first pitfall of what can start occurring in our reality, of course, is meeting the resistance of the outer world, which includes other people. So when you will be able to hold the white light frequency, attainment, you will become intense, almost too intense for some of the people, which will mean that this will still trigger their emotional responses and reactions and the realities they're not yet wishing to see, because they're still trapped in that either victim consciousness, manipulation of others. A lot of people want to keep you where they are so they would feel safer, more loved, more secure, but a true master does not assist from a wounded space, from a fragmented perspective. What we're doing now, we're assisting from the ascended perspective. So you don't have to descend all the way down into where you've already been and you've risen your phoenix in a way up. You actually are going to assist from the top of the cliff. That's how I always see it. And I do love to climb these cliffs here in the mountains. But it's going to be almost like sometimes people will want you there. They will want you to be with them the way they are. The things that they're still processing, they're going to wish to be understood within, but it's not your job to understand every single person, what they're going through, what they're experiencing. Our job is to keep the focus at a mastery and to serve from that ascended perspective, because it's in an overall picture that you're not always seeing. You know, sometimes you meet another person, and of course we have to be generous and kind and loving, but this comes from a compassionate state of neutral observation and neutral love, which is so much more than what people sometimes misplace as just emotional love. It's not, loving is not just emoting. Love is all the levels, all the layers. It's just universal. It just is, and it needs to come authentically from us. So we're not really loving if we're going against that flow, and we're not moving with our life force. And from a bigger picture, we can assist so many more souls by actually serving from the ascendant perspective. So first of all, it's very important for those new masters, and I'm going to kind of like nail it down, let's call it like that, is recognizing the soul communion and communication versus the ego down talking. Because when you're talking to someone, and you're going to see the difference, because you're going to come most often from this higher perspective, and a lot of the times you will feel this push and pull, and people are going to try to hook you into their perspectives, and it's not always going to be easy to see that. But as I said, integrity grows with time. It grows through the strengthening of our character, our soul character. And you will see that these people who are still not fully ascended, they will try to down talk you. They're going to say, what? Is that what it is? You know, it is how it is. And you're going to try to find these hooks to hook you into responding the same way. But because when you are truly fully unified from within, you can't even say things in that way anymore. You can't even become a part of that. You're going to still communicate from that compassionate, detached, loving space. But that doesn't mean that it won't make others angry, resentful, feeling more rejected. You might think that it's all going to be love and light from now on. No, because the truth awakens and the truth liberates. And those aspects that don't yet fully feel free, and they've been defending their position for so long, they're going to kind of want to hold on to the dearest life, you know. So it doesn't mean now, okay, I'm a master, I'm going to act like a master, I'm going to get only good results, and I'm only going to get love and light from others, and I'm going to only be focused on love and light. No, the focus is truth. It's the white light of truth, which is often revealing, and it reveals so much that it's good. Sometimes we think we're serving to keep things on the surface, status quo, but it's just to keep things going as they are. The true service of a master is simply to always speak in alignment with truth and that integrity and the sovereign discernment, which will still bring up the confusion within others, but don't mistake that for your own confusion, because it needs to be total clarity. So notice when you are engaging in that you lower your way of talking into others, that you're also ascribing blame and all those things, because it's kind of like, it's not that it's not allowed. When you're unified, it just doesn't happen anymore. You're just always speaking from your own perspective, and instead of projecting to people, because a lot of people like to say, well, this is your lesson, this is what you have, this is, you know, I'm reading this for you. This is abuse. We're abusing the personal sacred space of someone when we're kind of like, let's say someone looks into your chart, your astrological chart, without even asking your permission, and you never wanted assistance or guidance from that. People don't understand that these things are violations, and violations of entering someone's field without permission, without being summoned up, being called up. And what happens is there's a lot of confusion that's created from that, and this is how the ego does. The soul does not need to verify, analyze. The soul simply is, and it's very pure benevolence. So we need to learn the language of the soul, the communion of the soul, versus the fragmented language, which is often going to be, you know, projecting. And it's, for me, when people do that, it feels like someone's throwing darts at you. And when you stay in your white light of unity, what will happen is the result of it, because you're such a pure mirror for what they're throwing, it's going to become right reflected to them. And I've noticed quite frequently that I don't even say anything like that. I don't project. I just simply come from I ask them questions. I say, you know, maybe consider that aspect or try to expand that. I don't say, this is your lesson, do that, do this. I don't speak like that at all. But because they're still so fragmented and wounded, what they're going to see is they're going to see that instant reflection back to them. So if they're judging, they're going to feel judged by you. If they're projecting, they're going to feel you're projecting. So don't expect to get just love and light back. truth illuminates everything that is. It just potentializes it. It makes it come to the surface. So when you become that unified master, then it's going to happen in your reality. So don't doubt yourself because of it and think, wow, I didn't do it the right way. No, you did it the right way. You just have to recognize, when you understand the white light and how it is, how it travels, how you serve within that, you will understand why these things happen. And that's why I'm sharing this with you, because of my own nature of master and what I know. But you need to go through your own experience either way. It's an experiential wisdom we're going through now. So these challenges will be coming through others, and they're also for us, because we need to, like I said, not just graduate, but then maintain it. Not just attain it, but maintain it. Maintenance is almost like you have a car, you have a vehicle, and you constantly need to fuel gas into it. So if you don't put focus into maintenance, then it's going to just, that's where our body is becoming so important now. We're maintaining it. One more thing is, with these violations that are happening, it's almost like people don't see that as above, so below isn't exactly that mirror, and it's a statement of that truth, because we like to say, oh, there's these astral and negative entities, why are they clinging onto me, why is this happening, they're coming to me, how do I discern which is which? As long as you're still having that fragmentation within you, that's going to happen. But the thing is, people in the flesh, in the physical, they don't see and they don't realize that they're doing just the same. They're being that negative entity, except that they're not a discarnate entity, they're incarnate entity, but they're doing that to another human. So when we're doing that, when we're doing those tiny little violations of personal space, we're doing the same thing. And then we're asking ourselves, why do I have these negative entities? Why am I sad? Why do I have those negative things coming in my way? Well, look into all the aspects of where you're still doing that to other fellow humans, because the chain is ongoing. You break the chain by holding the vision of light. It's like a prism of light. You look into that nature and you say, I'm not that fight. Whose thoughts am I fighting? It's not my fight. A true spiritual sovereign, a master in its own, a spiritual warrior without fighting, not war-like mentality, is someone who does not need to hold and defend their position. They simply radiate that position. They are where they are. They just are a mirror of that. So holding our space means that a true sovereign does not need to defend his or her position. It simply radiates it out, and the truth naturally speaks itself on its own. So that's the pure consciousness. It's that set intent, and you need to recognize it. So it's not guarding our heart, it's not guarding our feelings, it's simply being with what is in integrity with us, that alignment. With integration, which is that integrity, you don't need to guard yourself. You're guided with that integrity. You just need to follow and listen up with that. So there's different levels of awareness. Of course, like I said, people will be graduating on different levels. But I've noticed that for a lot of people, they still have this disbelief in perfection. So when you do enter a physical ascension path, it will become about refining your body. It will be about perfection and perfecting your body. It will be about you as remembering your perfected self. And I've met people who are still living in doubt. They're still fragmented. They're still emotionally wounded. They're still living a lot of dramas when they're completing their karmic cycles. And when someone is on a path like me, I was accused a lot in my life of being so perfect. You're so perfect. You're like this, blah, blah, blah. It's just people projecting their own crap. And what they're not realizing is the moment you verbalize something like that out, bring it back to you. What does this tell you about you? Because it's how we actually grow into being masters. We can't project things on the outs of reality and other people anymore. We got to see what's really taking place. So I was accused a lot of, oh, you're seeking just perfection, or you're just perfect. Is that you're living in your own world? You're living in a fantasy. Yes, I'm living my own reality. For someone who does not yet believe in perfection, that does necessarily mean maybe fantasy. Yes, it's their reality. You see, that's why the levels of awareness will ascribe different levels of vibrational attunement, so different realities we're creating. That's why everything is so subjective in the great cosmos. But because you are your own sovereign, you choose for yourself. And I choose perfection, and it's my path of soul refinement and advanced mastery. That's just who I am, and I cannot not be that to please someone else. Someone says, please be more understanding of the wounds. Yes, I do, but I don't need to participate in that. It's not my playground. I know my work, I know my position in the world, I know where I need to bring that light of truth within those situations that so maybe people are not seeing yet. So be careful of people coming to you, projecting their own disbelief to you, and you get the same doubts. Are they yours, or maybe they're not? That's something to question here. So these accusations about being too perfect or living in an illusion in your own world, it's not the same as being an illusion not doing anything. I believe in a grounded perfection, which is I bring the perfection from the higher planes down into my embodiment. And that means my focus is God consciousness, is attainment of that. Not just having a spiritual ascension in my head or mental or, I don't know, emotional ascension, because it's not just this or that, it's not this and the other, it's unified. Physical ascension has to be all levels brought into form. Otherwise it just doesn't happen. It cannot happen. It's the basic law of physics. So now it's really time to switch, right? And that switch is about not being coerced into someone else's beliefs, into their own doubts, into their fears, into their realities. So when someone is saying, you don't get me, you don't accept me because you're not believing in the things I'm believing, that person is obviously projecting their reality onto yours because they feel safer and more accepted if you're playing the same game. But how can you move into being wounded if you're not? If you just feel so beautiful and happy, and how can you live that? You go against yourself. You go against everything you worked so hard for. And for me, I would never do that. And when people feel rejected because of that, they simply need to see it's not in integrity and it's not as sovereign. So these projections and distortions, even sometimes can be distortions from others, need to be tempered with only by our inner mastery, our temperance, our moderation level. So the next thing would be stepping fully away from guruism. And I'm not saying some gurus are not doing their purpose. There's a lot of beautiful gurus like Muji, for example, who are doing their work just as they need to. But there's a difference between a true guru who is a sovereign into themselves and they have a specific path with what they're doing and is in service to others, and certain guru types. So guru or a guru type is not the same thing. I told you before that I had this dream when they showed me a very renowned New Age spokesperson for the mass of people, and they showed me how they're manipulating the energies, are actually changing his voice, his appearance and everything so he would appear to be more guru-like. And I was shown this, I'm like, wait a minute, wow, you know, that's going to be a pitfall too, and a trap with people who don't see that. So this is not the same as a person who has that kind of guru mission, who just naturally lives that. And they're not being tempered into it. They're not being manipulated into that. They're just simply radiating that because it's their path. So see the difference between guruism and, you know, a true guru is someone who's just there serving through embracing their own mission. So certain New Age and religious figures were placed there even to keep masses of people still asleep in that sleep consciousness mode. So a lot of times I also notice people who listen to a lot of these videos from these people, they get very scattered. Their brain can not assimilate it. It doesn't know how to translate what they've assimilated. Yeah, that's how I'm going to verbalize it out. So if you're not yet tapped into the greater levels of God consciousness, then what you're going to do is all the information you're receiving from someone says this, someone says this, someone says that. It's different levels, right? People are all talking, right? There's many people talking about many different things. So you receive that, but you're not masterly kind of like mature there yet. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's like a whole mixture of things. But they're never fully translated through you, through your own God sovereign. So what that creates is a scattered brain, not knowing what is what. And a lot of these people I've noticed, they tend to live in a paradox. It's almost like this and that. It still feeds separation. And I was told by a lot of these people, oh, you know, that doesn't exist. We're still humans. We're still dense. We're still like this. We're not perfect. Well, yeah, a lot of people are like that. But that doesn't mean there's not people here who can embody, and their soul is on that level. They can embody beautiful, perfected state of their God consciousness. It's simply not true. You cannot define that. You can't just make it the overall reality. Truth is truth. You can fight it. You can change it. You can like modify it a bit, but it's at its core, it remains what it is. So let's move back to the part that Ascension is all of it. It's not just emotional mastery. I read somewhere someone said, well, Ascension for me is emotional mastery. Well, that's still fragmented perspective because we're not just our emotional body. We're not just our physical body. We're not just our mental body. We're not just our, spiritual body, causal body, all of that. So our physical ascension is a rise up of the unity column, but being able to bring it down into a physical form, which is the attainment of the super consciousness that only few have done. And I've read you here in the beginning that Only a few masters so far were capable of doing that, but not yet attaining it, maintaining it also in the body. So the body was not yet developed. So they moved on to the higher state of consciousness. They moved on to the other planes, other levels of being. But what we're doing now, we're connecting with the earth to have that synthesis and merge and moving with the earth into the physical ascension when we do the work. No cheating here. No cheating, okay? We don't get to cheat at this one. Sorry, guys. I know graduation. Some people graduate by cheating as well, but not in Ascension. You might have gotten away with that in school, but not in the Ascension path. So I want to say that with the synthesis of all these our lower bodies, enough light quotient needs to be created to create a white light pillar of self-mastery. That is the unified, complete sovereign self. So there's many levels of being a sovereign, as I've said. You might say, well, this being a sovereign, and they might have levels of where they're capable of being a sovereign, but not always fully. I'm going to read you one paragraph from the Soul Integration book as well, from Sarah Kelly, because it's so beautifully described. I just want to get it out there for all you to share with my buddies. And I want to say that true sovereign on all levels is someone who's living in complete self-sustenance in its highest attainment, which is all is of self-choosing, all is of self-creation. Nothing is external, although that doesn't mean you're just withdrawn from life because you have a body, you're one with life. But your choices come from your complete one unified self. They don't come from outside people, outside resources. They are just co-creators, but the choices you make are not of that. One more thing is living in the absolute self-alignment. What's going to start taking place as the more you're going to move through those pitfalls, you're going to feel lots more clarity, harmony, illumination, feeling free, loving your body so much, making love to nature. It's going to be like you're going to so much feel your soul. You're not even going to use the word ego anymore. I'm just using it for for the videos to see where there's this moving from one state to the other, but it's going to be like, but it's just one, right? It's just unified. Not just saying, well, I'm one, but you're going to feel the embodiment. You're going to become the living representation of that. It's beautiful. I've often heard now the words milk and honey and overflowing and total overfilled contentment. This really comes as a confirmation of a radiant bliss, which is, people will say, oh, it's not possible to always live in constant bliss. Yes, because you're going to have those pitfalls and challenges. We're going to squeeze you a bit, so you're going to expand even further. That's when that happens. But when you're integrating those new aspects of you, one unified self, you will feel radiant, you will feel illuminated, you will feel blissful. There's nothing else there. Because I had, let's say about a month of my holiday now. Yeah, about a month. And I really felt like I can't even holiday. It's just how it is now. I can't say this is when you go to holiday, this is when you do that. It's just unified. But I felt so good, and I've asked myself, when was the last time I had a bad day? So-called bad day. I was like, I can't remember. It's like, no. Even when things happen, and like I say, these pitfalls, people and challengers, it doesn't feel like bad. Because it's an instant shift that happens now with your unified light. You're no longer playing a victim in your life. You don't have those tiny little fragmented aspects of you that are still calling out either for attention, to have relationships, but not for the right reasons, right? Not for the reasons of co-creating, but you want to steaming off, instead of co-creating your life force, you want to steam it out, you want to project. So you will feel that, and don't let people tell you it's not possible. You can't always be in bliss, you must be making things up. Okay, accept that and say, maybe I am, but I will let my body, I will let my spirit show me the way, not you or you or you. You know what I mean? So, kind of like that. You got to become a toughie, right? There is no other way. Physically building our muscles, spiritually building our muscles on all levels, it is required for this path. So, speaking about the body, challenges in the body can appear, and I've had some people telling me about aging or fearing of aging or looking like they're aging. What's happening is that our body, because we're so moving our soul into it, is becoming our direct mirror, because there's so much soul, so much ensoulment in our body. That means that instantly when something is not right, when we're not aligned with our body, when we're not authentically living how we're supposed to, with that enthusiasm and that vitality, which is not just body vitality, but soul vitality, our body will show us. So there might be a perception, oh my God, I look older, I look like this, I'm not feeling totally good, or I don't look so good. I had periods in my life where so much of my energy went into healing in certain aspects that I just needed to genetically, with my DNA lineage, needed to do. And because so much energy went there, I often looked tired. I was like, oh, I look tired, I don't look good, oh my God, you know? That's just what happens. And don't get scared, don't move into fear, oh my God, I'm not ascending, I'm aging. Move into your heart. Say, what aspect is my body showing me? Because when there's still fragmentation, there's still different aspects of you wanting to claim up their own part. They want to merge with your full sovereign, so they want to show their own perspective. It's kind of like that. See it like being played out on the stage. So let's say your body looks tired, and what I recommend to everyone is developing the communication with the body, either in the morning or outside in nature, or specifically before you go to sleep. Really feel your body, ask it what it needs. Say, body, what do you need? What do you require for my physical ascension? And it's important. I always ask that my body, you know. I don't have to ask so often anymore because it's already so much integrated within me. But in the beginning process, we simply must do that. And the body is our mirror now, so our body speaks to us that way through seeing ourselves the way we are. It's going to show us a lot about us. And we need to make a solid connection with the body to communicate with it, especially nature connection, which is because we're shifting with Gaia. That means the planetary life force is rising, and with the rising of our own life force, we're merging that. And the planet provides us a template for the physical ascension. That's why it's possible now. So those of you who were guided to spend so much time outside, outdoors in nature like I did, I just couldn't stay put. I couldn't go inside. I felt like it's a cage. I love my place, but I was like, it's a cage. I don't want to go in there. I want to be outside. So I started doing these adventures outside and nature retreats, and watch out for my next video, which will be about life force retreats. But that thing is happening because we're organically feeling that it's an important time. The planetary life force is merging with ours, and it's a unified process. And those of us who are making love to that aspect now, we're knowing why this is so. And if you don't know, well, now I told you. So, body, what do you need? And the body will show you. I have some of my own examples here I'm going to show you, but that increased life force is about complete self-mastery, which means every day when I wake up, for example, now I tune into what do I need in each day. My mind can be like all over the place with my hyper enthusiasm, but the body will show me where I need to be in the now, and that's physical ascension. That's the unified aspect of all the ideas you might be having. Maybe it's, let's say you have a mental idea, you want to go travel somewhere, but you might see, okay, it's physical. But the body says no. Okay, why is the body saying no if my mind is so enthusiastically, hyper excited about traveling somewhere? But maybe that idea of going somewhere to travel or seeing somewhere a certain space is just showing you an essence that you need to integrate. So when it's integrated as an essence, you will see that it's more about what you do and how you do it than something that is an essence of that thing isn't physical. So let that be shown to you, because when something resonates now within our ascension timeline, needs to be on all levels. There's just an emotional feeling about it or a mental excited idea about it, but the actual unified aspect of, wow, this really feels like it's calling me, I'm going, all of myself, one of me is going. So that vitality is about that. And I'm going to give you an example of how my yogic practice, because I started doing lots more yoga, but in my own flow. I didn't want to do it through how people are teaching it, because it can be like so linear. Again, it's fragmented. And I wanted to be spontaneous and self-guided, and I talked about grace yoga before, and it's not that it would come from others and all those poses that you can do, and I was like, wow, all these poses. When I saw the world of yoga on the outside, I was like, what? So many poses, I'm not going to be able to do that. I was like, no way. And the part of you that feels, oh, I want that, it's really just, okay, what's my inner child wanting to tell you? And when I look at those pictures, but when I come into my beach or I play in my sandbox, literally, there's beautiful sand here, you can do yoga. It's a different feeling. Then all of a sudden I forget about the books and what people said. I just tune into my body and I start doing it in a totally different way. So let's say at home I would say, oh, I'm going to try this pose. Then I get to this nature spot, I'm like, what's the pose again? Never mind, I'm just going to do my thing, right? So when it's so natural, it's going to feel invigorating. And what I've noticed was that yesterday I danced. So I had another tantric life force session of my dance. I call it my special goddess dancing, right? And one day I would really like to dance all of you. The thing is that I don't have the right equipment and it's too tiny space for me to record, so I'm going to see what happens there. I hope to get it on camera one day. The veil, tantric life force dancing. But I've noticed that my yogic practice has helped me with certain moves and the shape and, you know, bending my back that I couldn't do before. And I've realized how everything is one, how everything is so unified. And I was like, wow, that's why I was doing this and this. Ooh, wow. So let's say there's a certain pose. And remember, yoga is not just certain poses you do a day. It's a lifestyle. It's all your choices and all of your alignment being chosen and being focused and being conscious and ascended. But it's like you see a pose, and it's almost like in life, there's a gradual shifting towards something. So you try a little bit like this, and a little bit of that, and each time you go a little further. So that's what I noticed, because my main focus of yoga is to have a stretchy body. Not to be able to do these poses that I can stand on one hand or whatever. It's not important to me. It's that I can have the flexible body for all my flexible hyperdimensional parts of me, to really feel that I can do and be capable of doing anything I want. So if I want to walk on my hands, hey, I want to do that, right? Something like that. I'm not saying I do, by the way. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a monkey, but maybe one day. But I want to say here that the importance is to follow your body. So maybe the message you're receiving mentally about something is just like a vision, but how you will translate that into an actual living reality, the body will show you. So listen to the body. It's so important, because we don't just dishonor our body with zero exercise, we also dishonor it with too much exercise. And I've noticed this sometimes. If I overreacted, it was like, ouch. Body, you hurt me. Well, you didn't hurt the body. I mean, the body didn't hurt you. You hurt the body. And that's the whole thing. And it's like, okay, I get it. So, when all is one, it's really that our life force guides us. And it's a synthesized process. But mostly this synthesis of what I'm talking about here today is that all of this, all that I've mentioned, all of the above, is a preparation for us to move into service. How we're going to help others in times to come. How we're going to be summoned up in our own areas, in our locales, online, it doesn't matter. It's just that we're going to do it now from the ascended perspective, and to merge the inner world, something that we've been working so hard on mastering and refining and constantly diligently working for and devoting to kind of bring that merging with the outside worlds. And just last time I had this run, and during my run I stopped at this bridge point that I have there in nature. And I got this guidance that said, you know, I'm always going to be here behind the scenes, right? And then the spirit said, no. I'm like, no, what? No, I like it behind the scenes. And it's like, no, we're preparing you. And it was like, the question was asked. It was like, why do you think you're doing all this thing? Why do you think you're so much alone and doing all these things and having this focus? It's because you're going to do that. And you're being prepared for when you're going to be summoned up. I'm like, okay. And I cried. And I knew that was the truth, because the resonance came through my embodiment. So think about that. Don't rush it. Don't hurry anywhere. Just be with what is and where you are, and it's perfect. So now I want to read you a paragraph from Sal's book about the sovereigns. It's really good. But before that, I also want to mention to you that those of you who want to integrate this knowledge further, because in the videos I can only, do little bits of pieces here and there. If you want to have a further integration, besides all of my mastery courses, which are video courses, there's 8 of them, so 7 basic levels and the 8th advanced one for the group soul consciousness and enlightened partnerships. There's also an MP3 audio course now on living your sovereign, so becoming your master sovereign. So it's an audio course you can listen to your iPod, whatever, iPhone. It's like a podcast, so you can download it there. It's at the same section that my mastery courses are there, so self-mastery. So yeah, that's available for those of you who are interested. And if you want to go further, I have beautiful courses as well. My favorite of all is still the Cosmic Beloved course, because it shows us how to activate all those parts, how to participate in our relationships. For those of you who are still doing the integration work, to see which aspects of you want to merge back with you, which is something that most people oversee. They overlook this because they think relationships are about others. Someone brings them an aspect. I'm not willing to acknowledge this, and that's so sad, because there's such beautiful opportunity at this time to grow that way, to be shown these things. And if we're not working with that consciously, we're not going to embody that. We're not going to become our conscious cosmic beloved. And let me tell you, I did this work myself on all my initiations and all my relationships, and the element of what you see here now is the product of all of this work and attainment and devotion, which was lived, it was experienced, and that's why I'm able to share this in my courses, because I've gone through that. So yeah, let's start the reading from the book. Let's go get it. Let's give it a try. The chapter is called Sovereign Beings, and the reason why I want to read this is because it's so beautifully written, and I don't want to wish to use my own words. I really recommend this book, especially those of you who feel still called to do the soul fragmentation integration work. It has some beautiful explanations, but as I always say, listen to your wisdom, no matter what kind of book or whatever source it's coming from. Being a sovereign means still choosing for ourselves, but I'm choosing this because I feel it's really aligned, so here it goes. A sovereign being includes the parent part of a soul, and however many fragments have been integrated back into the parent part. If such a sovereign being is not completely enlightened, he or she may have her parent, the parent part located in the higher realms, and the primary fragment resident in a human body on Earth, or a humanoid body on another third, fourth, fifth, or sixth density planet. Sovereign beings in the higher realms are not to be confused with discarnate entities who are fragments residing in the astral, etheric, or causal realms. Such entities may be assisting or hindering Earth and its inhabitants. Although a discarnate entity can appear in a form similar to a sovereign entity, there are many ways to tell the difference, which will be detailed below. How many sovereign beings are present on the Earth? That depends on how technical you want to get in your definition of sovereignty. As we explained earlier, every human being on Earth has a soul. However, it is not a simple 1-to-1 ratio, meaning 7+ billion bodies, 7+ billion souls. This is where things tend to get a bit complicated. You have a few hundred human beings on Earth who have completely integrated all of their levels and dimensions and are whole. Complete soul embedded in human bodies. These souls still have higher levels that are not confined to this planet. However, they had unimpeded access to these higher levels, and so, for all practical purposes, they're each one being. That's what I've shared with you before. There's only one of you here. So that being is existing simultaneously in all 12 levels and dimensions. If they need to access one of the higher levels of their being, that access is granted immediately by their universal God self. And this is how I feel, for example, when I do yoga, I'm turning into one part of me. When I'm doing my tantric dancing, it's like, wow, this aspect comes through. And I'm doing my art, it's this aspect comes through. And it's all me, it's all from me. It's not like I'm channeling something on the outside, just all these 12 density levels in one being of our galactic nature, because we're galactic beings now. So in essence, they are co-creators with God, walking in physical bodies on the Earth. Some are well-known gurus and teachers. Oh, I gotta do like this because the sun is getting in my head now. Others remain in the shadows, figuratively speaking, and prefer to remain anonymous, or maybe just working more behind the scenes. Like what I was shown for my own mission was that I needed to be more withdrawn, not like very public, because a lot of preparation in my work also dealt with planetary assignments I had. So I was working with the energy of the planet and its ascension. So I needed to be more behind the scenes, and it was very important for me. So when you know your purpose, you will understand why. So basically, they have manifested a great deal of their unlimited potential, although not all of their abilities may be outwardly obvious. It is extremely difficult for higher dimensional beings to walk openly on the Earth. This is due partially to the non-interference principle. See, it's very important not to interfere, which says that they cannot violate the free will of humanity or coerce human beings to change their behavior. But why do we do that as humans? I don't know. Openly demonstrating advanced psychic and intuitive abilities would likely destabilize the existing belief systems on Earth faster than generally permitted by those whose job is to ensure that free will is not being violated. Okay, I'm not hailing you here, by the way. She's really trying to block the sun. It's really strong now. In other words, not all souls on Earth are ready to have their cherished belief systems crushed and disintegrated immediately. There must be respect for the pace at which earthbound souls desire to evolve. The other reason higher dimensional beings rarely walk upon the Earth is because it is very difficult for them to maintain their high state of vibration while in the presence of lower levels of consciousness. When they do come to Earth, they usually do not stay for very long. For example, the avatar Babaji might appear long enough to bring through an advanced yogic teaching and then leave again before his vibration is compromised. And that's what I said, being met up with the external world is really strong mastery, it's an advanced level for a lot of us. So therefore, communication with enlightened sovereign beings that are fully manifesting their potential is often quite restricted. If they do have bodies on Earth, they may be available only to those who are ready to be in their presence. So for me, I've had people who come to me are more advanced souls. So the vast majority of sovereign entities on Earth are not yet fully integrated. They're working toward personal enlightenment. So these are mostly the souls I'm working with. And they do always tend to find me somehow. Although they have a strong connection with their parent parts in their higher realms and have a great strong deal of that energy embedded within their earthly body, mind, personality, they may still have a significant number of fragments in other times and places. There are about 1.5 billion souls on Earth who can be considered sovereign. For all practical purposes, they're complete souls in human bodies, meaning that the majority of their soul energy is embedded within the human form. Another 4.5 billion souls roughly have a minimal connection with their parent part in the higher realms, but are primarily operating from a major fragment within the human body. So about 1 billion souls on Earth are so highly fragmented that they only have a small amount of energy, soul energy, present in their human bodies, just enough to keep the body alive in many cases. And I'm sure you've seen people, sometimes you just, how are they still alive? You know, all that they do to their bodies, even how they damage it. It's like, it's a miracle, you say. They're even alive, you know. My aunt, for example, I have an aunt, and she was heavily drinking all her life and smoking, all of that. It's like she had all these problems, and doctors always warned her, but somehow, you know, the body's still sustaining. It's a miracle. So some of the souls who are greatly fragmented have their energy embedded in multiple human bodies and vice versa. Many individual human bodies have the energy of multiple souls within them as well. So the reason for the hodgepodge lattice work of soul energy throughout the Earth is due to the long period of time that souls have been incarnating here and the large number of soul divisions and fragmentations that have taken place. Think for just a moment about how many traumatic experiences have occurred on Earth. It should be little wonder that so many souls here feel powerless and helpless. Not only do they have access to a tiny fraction of their soul energy, but they live within systems of government that encourage dependency and conformity. Because almost all of you who are reading this or listening when I'm reading this, so fall into the category of sovereign beings that are working towards enlightenment. The remainder of this section will be concerned with the issues facing you in your quest towards integration, and I've shared those issues in my update as well. So sovereign souls on Earth who are only partially enlightened might benefit greatly from the help and guidance of otherworldly beings. These otherworldly souls come to help as either sovereign beings or discarnate entities, but the most enlightened ones are the sovereign souls. So they often serve those human beings who are among the most advanced in evolution. And when people come to me for my sessions, they're already so open and prepared, so they can absorb that which Spirit has to share in my work. And you need to be ready. As I've shared this with you before, white light is so intense. And people who are not yet ready to have their belief system shattered, they're just not going to be drawn to you for those purposes. They might come to you for purposes of being triggered. They might want to expand further. You somehow assisted them, and like I've shared with you, don't be afraid when they get angry or they feel rejected, because somehow on some level you are helping, we're helping. But people who really come with respect and humility towards their services, these people will just be different. They will act different. They will have greater levels of respect. They're already walking towards that enlightened embodiment. So as stated before, beings from the higher realms have discovered that it's much easier to communicate telepathically from those realms than to walk openly on Earth or even covertly in some of the form of these guises. So yeah, there's few us here doing the work, but a lot of masters who are becoming masters, enlightened masters for the first time. And I know you'll recognize yourself. Whenever you watch this video, it's not all about August, it's just when the video is out, but it's a timeless wisdom I share here. And those of you, when you're called, whenever you're watching this, know that it's somehow something you need to hear and your time has come. So as always, I'm leaving you and loving you for now, but as always, so much love is in power. Have a beautiful month of August, and I'll see you soon. I'll talk to you soon, and watch for the juicy video coming after this one. And that's it for today. Bye-bye. There's just a slight update I wish to also give you, because there's kind of like a little change in what I'm going to do from now on and considering my web pages. So as I've been mentioning, there's a unifying essence here That's here for those of us who really stepped into one being. And I've had so many pages and scattered all around. So I had multiple pages, and that's kind of becoming a burden for me, so I wish to simplify this. And so the correction is that my Ascension updates will now be posted along my blog, which is Diary of the Ascension Pioneer. It's my blog diary, and all of my Ascension material and all that I'm posting is going to be there from now on, as well as my page Serapina Light, which stays, which is my main page. I'm kind of sad to say this, but it's kind of like what it is now. Ascension Pioneers is actually going to be removed. It's not going to be in existence anymore. I've been shown this for years now, that one day it's going to be so, because it served as a portal for many coming, but now the page simply doesn't have any, it's meaningless, it doesn't have any higher purpose anymore, so it's kind of hard for me to maintain everything, you know. When you become a master of energy, you see that it takes a lot of energy to maintain certain things that are physical, and when you understand this, you know that you just have to dismantle some of the things to welcome in new things. So I wanted to, first, I didn't know whether it's going to be a new web page or something, and I thought, no, you know, Serapina Light is good. I just want to keep it simple, and as well as my updates, which are my frequent posts on Ascension and what we're going through, are just going to be shared in my Ascension blog, which is Diary of an Ascension Pioneer. Those of you who are not subscribed to the blog, please do so you can get these updates. I like things to be shared in terms of now time. That is why I love Instagram, because I just share posts, things that come, you know, messages that come now. I think the old way of these newsletters and long articles, it's kind of disappearing, because the new human likes to experience everything in the now. So that's why I love Instagram for my instant, you know, instant shares, which are always in the now and they resonate in the right moment. But for those of you who love newsletters and like to get updated, and of course for me to share my news, what's new and what's coming up, besides these videos where I always share everything anyway, so the channel is still Ascension Pioneers, but I will find a way to add mailing lists to my page Serapina Light. So these are my two main pages from now on, Serapina Light and Diary of an Ascension Pioneer. This is kind of what represents me. Ascension Pioneers is no longer who I am. It doesn't fit the scheme yet. So all of the articles that are posted there, that I've posted for years so diligently, I'll gather them together one day. I'll create this mastery book for those who are still awakening to the illumined truth, for those who want to align with the white light, or want to align with the truth. So that will be available probably as a PDF one day. But you know, everything is just a project. It can be all done at once. Not all seeds will sprout and be manifest at the now timing, but everything that we feel in the now is right for us. So it's kind of like I have to share this because it goes along with our new mastery and our new unified self. And I wanted to keep things simple, so people always, you know, they're like, who are you? Ascension Pioneers, Serapina Light, what, you know, where to go? We don't know. Something is posted there, something is posted there, it's too much. And I had to do so many reposts, which kind of, it depletes our energy resources, because there's a lot of repetition, and things that are repetitive and old, they just bring a lot of stagnant, distorted energy. We have to keep things fresh. And I was just reading this post yesterday, someone sharing that the newsletters are actually an old technology being replaced by social media. And it was actually a very good blog. I don't usually read blogs, I'm not much online, but it's something that came across, and I thought, we're changing, we're evolving in our web communities, and the way we post things need to change as well, because there's a lot of excess energy we're also creating on the web, online world. It's almost like a new astral world created through the web. And we have to be diligent also how we as masters share energy resources there. So everything more at one place, keep it simple. I am who I am now, master of white light, of unity, so keeping things unified. And I asked today during my run, I said, oh, you know, every master always stands for something. They have most profound essence that really kind of resonates with them. And I was like, what's still mine? And the answer is always the same, and is that it's always purity for you. It's always been purity. And I thought, this is the aspect of the white ray, and for me personally that means unification. So as I was still traveling my journey and keeping all these parts, bringing them into essence of who I am, this served me, but now I feel it doesn't serve this process and where I'm going and what I'm going to be doing, because the focus will be now with the life force activation, with the retreats, with what I do with Serapina Light already. So Ascension Pioneers, sad chapters, rest in peace. But yeah, those of you who really kind of have been tuning into that, probably you've noticed that I wasn't sharing and posting there at all after yeah, I used to do a lot, but then I just kind of stopped. So eventually, when something is lacking energy, it means there's no more love there, and everything needs to flow through love. So most love now for me is still when I share my Instagram posts and what I do with the Essential Pioneers in the YouTube. As always, I love this world. It's so beautiful here, and sometimes Facebook, but Facebook is just getting old too, I feel. It's really old. And of course, what I do with my pages. And mostly when I tune in with you and those of you coming to kind of like be guided to how you want to co-create something with me in terms of me assisting you on your path of physical ascension. So stay updated for my announcement of how it will be possible to visit me now and work with me personally, and that comes next. So this is what I have to put my energy in right now. So Essential Pioneers is still alive, but now remains a YouTube channel, but the webpage, may you rest in peace as we go and sail into the new waters. That's what I'm doing here. The recording at this lake. So that's it. I just really needed to share this with all of you. So get subscribed, Sarabina Light, Diary of Ascension Pioneer. This is where most of my frequent updates will be, and Facebook and Instagram as well.